Hello, can anybody hear me out there? Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. Looks like we're live. Just make sure if you guys can hear me, just post just post something that you guys can hear me. Awesome. Looks like YouTube is working. Loud and clear. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for confirming that, Valera. Cool. So we'll get started in a few. No visual. What about now? Anything now? Sore hacker text. Can you guys see my ZBrush screen? Me on camera. Just want to make sure everything's working. There was a few hiccups from 2 weeks ago. Hey Ivan, how's everybody doing today? Looks like we have a few people coming in now, so let's we'll give them a couple minutes before we go through you know, talking about what we're going to do today and some of the stuff we've done in the past. So we're going to probably work on a few different things today. Oh, you can see me? Okay, awesome. Thanks. What about the sound? Does it sound okay? Background static noise. Let me see. Is it like really loud? What about now? Is that better? I have a mic here. Let me just adjust it. Maybe that might help. What about now? High frequency noise? Is it my music? Can you guys hear my music? And make sure my mic is picking up from the right source, because last time I had some issues and it was picking up from like the webcam and not the right thing. Let's see. Yeah, this should be the Yeti mic. How's the music? Is the music too loud? What about now? Can you guys hear me? I see the... It stopped. Okay, awesome. I think it was just something in the settings. It looks like it's working. Let's see, what about my music? Cool. We're going to be probably jumping around today, trying a new formula. I think I liked what happened a couple weeks ago where we just did a little bit, you know, like half of the stream one project, half of the stream the other. Also, if you guys have anything for me to review, feel free to submit it and send me a link, and then we could either send me a ZTL or send me a JPEG or something, screen grab, and we could give you guys some feedback as well. If anybody can confirm that they could hear me in Facebook or the other platform, that would be great. Then we can get started. Yeah, so I have a variety of old projects that I opened up that I kind of wanted to... well, I was looking for some robots that I was telling you guys last week or the week before that that I wanted to work on, but I couldn't find those, so I found these guys. Of, you know, so a couple different things we might potentially work on. So there's like three projects that I kind of want to tackle to wrap up. This is like one of those. It's this character that I made a long time ago, and I remember having the sketch, and I wanted to kind of wrap that up and make it a product, make it a, you know, get it printed. So we'll probably be playing around with those guys, and there's this little helmet guy that I kind of wanted to play around with too. Kind of make a bust. Well, make a full character, but most likely just print the helmet out. Hey Rudy, how's it going? Oh, thanks from YouTube. Cool. So we'll get started in a couple minutes, and we'll talk about this stuff. Yeah, this is like the super old one that I had, and I'm like, okay, there's a lot of things I don't like, but there's a lot of things I do like from the other one. So there was this cat dude that I made it sketched out a long time ago too, so we'll see. But I'm leaning towards this guy, at least for half of the stream, and then we can start something else. There's also a sketch that I made a while back that I think I want to try to block out in 3D. But you guys tell me which one seems more interesting to you guys. So this is like a little sketch that I did many years ago that I found. I think it'll be cool to kind of block this guy in and see where it goes. There's a beep in the background, huh? Huh. Let me see. Maybe I'll try switching to the microphone that's on the headset. Change that before we get started so you guys can hear me clearly. Sorry about this stuff happening. Okay, well, we'll stick with this because I think for some reason the headset one is not working. Maybe the volume's too high. What about now? Can you hear me now? You have to excuse my coughing. I still haven't gotten over it, getting sick. Okay, awesome. Oh, I wonder if it's something to do with the microphone settings. Maybe something got loose or something's not quite working. But we'll go with this. That way we can get started. You guys can still hear me anyways. So let me find my webpage to show you guys. 1 second. Yep. So this is some of the work that I do, working for film, games, and many other things. So if you guys want to check out my website, it's magvfx.com. I'll post this up on here so you guys can go check it out if you guys are free. One thing that I give away for free is my UI with shaders and other stuff that I've been compiling over the years for my workflow. So feel free to come to this webpage to download it for Gumroad. If you guys want to see some of the stuff that I've been printing out, made in ZBrush, here's my website, which soon should get revamped. That's some of the stuff that I saw at Mossapalooza and many other places. So today we're going to be looking at this this helmet that I was showing you guys. Let me go back to it. This guy, but I kind of wanted to be inspired by Mantis, like a Mantis. So I was kind of looking at different parts of the Mantis, what we can use. A real cool image that I found that made me feel like it could be a kind of a biosuit is this thorax picture of the Mantis. Look at this. Look at the detail on this stuff, and it feels like it's armor slash flexible for be able to attack. And obviously they're very good at attacking, right? So this is, I think, a very good reference for some of the stuff we'll probably be doing or adding to like the neck part, the shoulders, to keep them flexible. Let's look at some more reference. So here's some more reference I kind of been looking at. I'll show you. Let me open some of these guys by themselves. Might be easier. So you have some of this stuff. So we might change the eye. I've been doing a lot of elongated eye, so I might want to stay away from that because I've been doing that a little too much. But here's some of the armor pieces I'm kind of thinking about and how we could break them up. You know, it's not just a mantis. It could also be like a roach and other insects. but Mantis being kind of our main reference as to like which direction we're kind of going. So I kind of just wanted to give you guys an idea of like some of the references that I'm looking at. You know, even just for joints and how some of these joints work, or spacing between some of this stuff, you know, patterns. Like if you notice the different patterns between these two guys, quite different. Yeah, stuff like that. So I'll be working on that, and maybe working on let's see what else. Maybe that sketch. So we have a quite variety of things to pick from. This is some other reference that I found, so maybe we'll be using some of this, which is will be kind of cool as well. Like kind of deformations. So maybe blending some of this stuff into the design, maybe for this guy or for another. But yeah, some of this stuff is pretty graphic, so we'll keep it off the screen so that way you guys don't, people that are sensitive to it won't get affected. Oh, you just started learning ZBrush, Mr. R. That's great. This is a great program for you to, you know, do anything you want to do. So let's start sketching on this guy a little more. So one thing I was sketching without using any reference for the head, so I decided to bring this generic guy in to kind of help me place it, make it feel like a human could be wearing this. It doesn't have to be a human, it could be an alien, but I kind of wanted a human in case I decide to wear somebody else. There's flexible parts, you know, and like this really helps me to see what we can be modifying that's gonna really affect the performance if we had anything. So I'm thinking if he wears it more like a hat would be nicer, because then that means his neck is pretty flexible. So that's something we're going to be kind of looking at, tweaking some of this stuff. And because we're still in the design stage, this thing's still just pretty high dynamesh, so we'll change that in a bit once we figure out like the overall design. We see here one of the major issues is like the ear, right? But also changes the jawline for this guy. So we could either move it forward, move the whole helmet forward, so that way he can breathe and then the ear could kind of loop around that, or maybe just do a little bit of moving, just a tiny bit of the overall thing. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. That we can help you guys out. So here I'm just going to move everything around the ear. We see how some stuff is starting to crunch up here, so that's going to be kind of an issue. Not a huge deal, but we have to see how that affects the rest of the design. But one thing we can do, we can start blocking out the neck to see how that's going to work out. Where's everybody tuning in from today? Sorry for the coughing. This cold has just not been nice to me. So sometimes you know, this stuff is a little high, so we can probably go 64. Keep it low until we have to start cutting into it. That way it's easier to maneuver, especially at this early stage. So I think in this we're going to keep these two parts. I'll show you guys why. Let's just duplicate that. So the main thing we're thinking about right now is mostly design. Russia, oh, okay, awesome. Hungary, awesome, that's great. Hey Vozilla. For a lot of my concept lately, it's been Substance Painter. Substance Painter has iRay built in, and with all the materials, smart materials, it makes everything look pretty good. But my actual regular, render is Arnold. That's my preferred render, at least at the moment, because I use Maya a lot. So that's the software that I prefer to use. But I do use Keyshot. Keyshot's pretty good if I'm just doing something in gray form and it's not anything. I'll show you guys a Keyshot file right now too, and why I like using Keyshot. Let me just find it for you guys. Let's it's an old key. I don't know why it opens up on Keyshot 8, but I have 9. Canada. All right, thanks for joining from all over the world. That's pretty awesome. So that robot that I had earlier, here we go. That's good. It's working now. I rendered this image in Keyshot, so this was good enough for me to use it for a concept, which was fine, you know, if I'm just doing basic stuff. But if I wanted to really play with materials, and I could drag materials from here, but they look super clean. And in Substance Painter, I could make them really dirty, grimed up, really easily. But this is like a, you know, just a quick version of this guy. What he looks like slightly posed, because the one night that I just reverted back with a layer to. Let's take that off. But that should kind of give you an idea of renders you can use, and especially now with Keyshot 9 having GPU support. That should really be nice if you have a nice GPU. Yeah, but you can see, you know, come up with some cool stuff, and you guys saw how rough this concept is in ZBrush. That's why I wanted to refine it, because I feel like it has potential. Like the design is cool, so I need to just kind of clean it up without losing some of the soul of it. What do you guys think? Does this look cool to you guys, or? Okay, awesome. Thank you. But yeah, that's kind of what we, you know, that's kind of what Keyshot can do. Let me just turn it off so it doesn't take up all our CPU. So we'll probably do some tests with this guy and that. We could probably do some tests in Substance Painter too. If the music is too loud, please let me know. So here I'm just trying to add some curvature to make it feel like it's flexible. So basically this might have some divisions. But first let's just and keeping it super low really helps too. Oh, you should. Even if you render within Substance Painter just as a preview, like it's good enough sometimes for a concept. So one thing I'm trying to follow here is kind of a human anatomy. But like instead of breaking this into 3 forms, I'm just trying to keep it one, because I'm going to break it up with the design part, like the bigger shape, primary shape, secondary shapes. Saving this throat part. Yeah, hopefully this design is not too boring for you guys. I'm kind of digging it. I'm feeling this one today. So one way I like working is either appending more basic shapes into this, because I like to keep everything as clean as possible. Sometimes you can't do it, but you know, if you can, why not? Dynamistic stuff too, pretty low. Smooth it out a little bit. We have to keep in mind that the ear has to go there, so then maybe that's one of our breaking points. But we also don't want to keep it too literal to human anatomy, so this is just kind of like a hint of where some of these muscles are at, and then we could probably make this into a hose or something more cool with the design. Wow, this music is all over the place. It's like Lord of the Rings one moment, 80s next. Awesome. No, anytime, if anything I can help you guys technique-wise, let me know too, or workflows. Morning, Hector. So let's mirror that guy over. So let's break this up. Let's look at some of that Mantis reference. I think I just closed it by accident. Yeah, and if you guys are working on any projects that you guys think are cool, you feel free to share. I'd like to see what you guys are doing. One thing we're gonna try to do with this design is try to keep it minimal too, because sometimes we over detail some of this stuff, and it looks pretty bad. Like too much detail sometimes is too much. It doesn't let the design show unless it's all about the detail. So here I'm just looking at that thorax, kind of looking at potential breaks on the surface. Go a little higher. Sorry, I can't read your name, but thanks. It says some characters I can't read. I think they're in Thai or something. Let's see, what can we do here? Well, thanks for being here on the Sunday morning. I don't know how hard it can be to get up and do some stuff, do some work, and be inspired this early. But for me, this is the only time that I really have to kind of push. Let's see how we're gonna break this guy. So I want everything to kind of snap into each other, like built like very custom fit. So that's why I'm kind of doing a lot of this stuff where like it feels like this will snap into that. If you like to separate it out, that's my thought process behind this stuff. If you guys are wondering what I'm doing, I'm just kind of using the human as a as a placeholder, so that things don't get too out of whack and start to look too funny. Yeah, let me know if the music is too loud, guys. Well, we could incorporate that into the design, the ear part as well. And like I said, sometimes simple is better. Especially if I was going to print this guy out, like this big, how does that stuff read, you know? So that's some of the things I'm considering. It's also like, is that competing too much with the eye? Potentially, but we'll play around with that. So maybe we could incorporate that into the design of. We'll go back to our regular guys where we're doing the insect guys soon. I just kind of want to take a break from those guys. Let's see where, you know, just try something new so to kind of keep it fresh. So one thing I also like to do, like I like the way this looks from the front, has potential, right? But I also like to look at other angles to see like what other read can I get from a different angle, or what kind of shape can I play with, like here, like just making the shapes more flow into each other. That's something I worry about a lot, like just making sure there's some flow. Sometimes there's, you know, things that I could rework, like this brow. I was just playing around with that. Could be better. Yeah, maybe I need that brow to follow the shape of this to kind of mimic it. But I can play around with that now. One show I started watching recently that I think was really cool, that I want to, maybe in the next stream you guys tell me, or maybe we'll make a bunch of streams that are kind of come together, was about aliens. I started watching War of the Worlds, a TV show that I think came out last year, and it really like reminded me of some of the stuff I used to love growing up, like gray aliens and things like that, you know. So made me think about maybe making a series of aliens, alien bus and that type of stuff. So as you guys can see here, I'm just kind of playing with the forms, seeing what's happening, if any of this stuff is working from different angles. But yeah, I'm thinking of doing an alien series. I was thinking of doing that this week, but I think I need to prepare some reference and get in the mindset of making aliens. So I think that's probably a series that we're gonna attack soon. It's one of the subjects of the stream. You guys, does that sound interesting to you guys, or? And mostly focusing on like gray aliens, you know, like organic, like super beings type of thing, you know. Just playing with that idea, but we'll see. See, now it feels like there's I think maybe these guys go negative to each other. I think that probably looks better. Let's see. I think I have to go further back. Yeah, you see that starts to break the shape even from this 3/4 angle. It had a nice flow before, but now that just kind of helps it flow better, I think. Okay, awesome. Aliens, people liking aliens, cool. Okay, yeah, I should be on probably for another 2 hours, so hopefully you get to catch it. If not, just catch it on replay. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, this is just something that I did a long time ago that I just found the sketch and I was like, why not go with it? Let me save it before we go before we continue and we lose it, because I kind of like where it's going. Let's see. Yeah, I could give you some advice in your overall portfolio. Just kind of let me know which way you're aiming to go. If you're thinking of more game design, or games, movies, VR, like what's your, like which way you're going. I could probably give you some advice, at least in the overall, at least VFX and some real-time stuff, since I was kind of always hiring people and looking at their strengths and weaknesses and trying to help them either get a job or help them move to the next level. But yeah, feel free to send that out. No, I think it's fine. I'm here to help, and hopefully my experience could help you guys, get a job or move forward. Maniru, hey, how's it going? Dominique, hi. What are we doing today? We're just designing this kind of helmet. Maybe this is part of my series of helmets. This kind of warrior alien slash thing. So that's one of the things we're going to be covering, and hopefully a couple other things like this crab dude. I don't like his face, but I like his body where it's going. So I kind of maybe we'll play around with that today as well. Depends how much fun we're having with this guy. If we're continuing to continue to do good design, we'll just keep the flow going. So here I was trying to find some images of mantis, kind of different areas of their chests, but it's kind of hard to find when they're always in this attack mode and kind of covering it up. But I'll probably use some of this other stuff to kind of inspire me of which direction to go. One thing I noticed is that they're not that detailed in the front as much as I would like them to be, but you know, I could probably use some of this inspiration like I was telling you guys. But this is kind of what I'm looking at as I'm designing this stuff. So you know, other artists, our work is pretty nice to look at too, but sometimes you get affected by it and you start designing like them, so I try not to do that if I don't have to. But sometimes I do get inspired by other people's work, so it's not something I don't do all the time. It's just something I try to avoid if possible. But sometimes, you know, you have your Frank Rosettas, you have I'm a little more old school, like comic book, like you have your Jim Lees, that type of style stuff. So I love that artwork as well. Here I'm just thinking of the clavicle and what that's doing, and how can I use that as a design element. Like maybe that's what's breaking this stuff up here, while he has another thing on the bottom. Hope this helps, or if you want me to explain more stuff, kind of what I'm thinking when I'm doing all this stuff, feel free to ask as well. I'm always open for that. I used to use 3 screens. Right now I just use 2. I'm doing this new setup where I have one screen that I can look directly up. That's a 34-inch widescreen, and then I have the Cintiq. So only 2, but most of the time, if I'm doing mostly Maya work or even ZBrush work, most of the time I'm using a tablet, not a Cintiq. Hey, how's it going, Side Effects? Awesome. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, if you have specific names that I might remember from Instagram or other places, feel free to mention them, because I'm terrible with names until I see some images or something. So yeah, we're just playing with the design today. We'll see how far we get and how far we want to go with this. So at the end, I will probably merge a lot of this stuff together. So something to consider, you know. Let's see what this music. Let's see if we could change this, because it's a little weird. You guys let me know if it's too loud. So a lot of the stuff that I use for this is just damp standard. Just kind of to manhandle this and kind of push it in. You know, it was the sphere you guys saw, and I just kind of flatten it out. So here I'm trying to think how that's going to loop into this arm. Need to fix this later. So that's the main idea, that you just kind of roughen a lot of these shapes, like here. Let's see what he looks like through the body. See, so here I kind of like where it's going. I feel like his head needs to be elongated a bit. So let's maybe play around with that. And the nice thing is about having these guys all separated out is that I can make a copy of it, turn one of them off, and play around with just making it longer. Maybe to match a little bit more of the mantis. What's my favorite brush? Probably damp standard and the move tool. I think both of those are the ones that I can do. I feel like they're pretty powerful and I can do a lot with them. So because he's also kind of a mantis, right? We want to incorporate some of the design of the head. So let me open up the head. So I'm kind of looking at this, trying to figure out how I can make that work. Obviously I don't want it to be too pointy, because what's the whole point of him having all this, you know? But see how some of the just two little elements there now have to feel make it feel a little more, I want to say a little more alien, a little different. And then all this stuff can kind of flow into this. Let's see what we can do here. How's this pace going? Are you guys okay with this pace? So here I'm thinking there's maybe something flexible that that this thing attaches to, so it makes it feel like he can actually bend his head down, like accordion down. So I'm thinking about a lot of those design parts at the same time that I'm doing this. Let's see, let's not lose the thorax one. The thorax is like my favorite reference. Makes you want to go capture some mantis and take some pictures of them. You can also find like really nice shapes, and then from there just kind of using the move to kind of move them as a mass. So you see how those angles are working with me. So sometimes you just gotta do a little bit of that. It's definitely destroying the whole the Dynamesh, but that's the whole point, right? Right now we're in design mode, so it doesn't matter. And I think that's one thing to also consider. Design mode and creation mode, like for assets, it's very different. So right now we're just having fun, and then we'll figure out how we're going to retopologize this, if we're going to do that, or if we're going to 3D print it, how we're going to break this up for, I guess, to be able to print like the helmet in 2 pieces or even 4 pieces, so that because it's so big, right, it's elongated. Even if you have a big printer, it's still going to be a bit of an issue. So in this case, I'm thinking like we could probably break the helmet down like that section. Then there's you can have this mass section, and then you can have the top section, or even split it. Maybe if I make some design element, I could split it like down that way, you know. That could also work, but we'll see. Maybe we don't really like this head. Yeah, it's a bit of a crossbred. So it's just inspired by a mantis. That's my main reference, and then from there, I'm just kind of, he could be mechanical, he could be kind of a weird creature. But yeah. I like where this is going, so we're going to keep going with it. We'll probably do another 15-20 minutes on this and we'll switch to something else. Is that cool with you guys, or you guys want me to continue with this? In this case, I could use the body in the bottom, but I just want to use the body as a regular template, not as anything that's going to inform me or have me, what's it called? Round button. There. That's something that's just going to help me kind of like stay in the ballpark, but not stay married to that, you know, because if you look at the head, let's see. Like the head barely fits. It's kind of not looking from. Maybe it's a good time to adjust some of this stuff. Making that headpiece further back. See, even back here, there's a lot of room in the front, but maybe we'll give him a little more room in there. Likewise, he looks like he's pretty good. Eye-wise, obviously he's not going to be able to see from the front, but that's not a big deal. We could put a screen in there, and then have him just have cameras. Maybe the cameras coming out of here, or they're hidden somewhere, like very small cameras. The one thing that is an issue is the jawline, so that we could tweak now. But hopefully the design ideas are not too boring for you guys. Also the way he will put this on, right? Like if we had the back piece, the neck piece kind of slip in, and then the front piece, that could help. So I'm thinking ahead of like multiple steps of which what's gonna happen, right? Because after designing a few of these things, sometimes you get stuck. You get stuck and you don't think about this stuff, and then the neck is way too tiny and it gets approved. You know, things like that are really suck, because now you have to redesign that part again, and then well, it takes more time. People in production want it now right away, so there's multiple issues there, but that's why you want to kind of think ahead. Tell you the steps. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing here. Just kind of showing you guys the steps of how I create all this stuff, you know. Let me save this one more time. How I'm creating this stuff, so that way you guys can get an idea of, like, it's not that hard. You guys can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. It just takes some practice and a lot of mistakes, and then you move on past mistakes. Let's see. Okay, so we have something to review. Let's check out. Okay, so design for video games. Okay, cool. Oh, Demon Mantis Queen. Oh, this is cool. I get to see some inspiration maybe from you. It's cool. It looks like you have a nice variety of work, which is nice. A lot of paintings. Oh, some 3D stuff. Cool, cool. I think you have a good range of things. I think there's definitely some room for improvement, but it's nice that you have a variety of stuff. I think maybe it's not now to kind of concentrate on like what specific. Do you want to do characters, concept only? Because if it is concept, that means you need to have more rough ideas done quicker. You know, kind of like this little Oni mask. Let's check that out. it's cool, but maybe you have a few variations, like 2 more variations, right, that are pretty different. So that when you render this stuff, it looks like you're thinking of potential other versions, you know. Some of them will work out, some of them won't, but at least you have the thought process behind there and showing that you can do that stuff. Because what if I say, oh, can you just give me 2 more variations real quick, and maybe you can modify this version to make those variations or add to this. Probably do some more rendering with maybe some HDRI so this feels more real. One thing also, if you're doing concept, is you need to have this type of stuff, but also maybe your character in a pose of what his intent. If he's evil, maybe he's, you know, doing some evil stuff, or he's nice, or he's helping somebody or saving somebody. You can have some of those elements too, because then that kind of tells more about the character's journey, and if he's fit to actually do the job he was, you know, if he's supposed to be a king or supposed to be a robot overlord or whatever he's supposed to be, or underwater creature. Like, what is his purpose and how does he function, you know? Like, is there a reason why he has all these little like dreadlock looking things, like to feel like if there's some motion in the sea, or these other blue things that he has, like these lightsaber looking things. Like, what is there specific things he needs to have and why? And, you know, sometimes it might help you change the design as well, depending on what you're trying to do. You say you had a preview of a project. Let's see that. Okay, cool. Look at that. That's pretty cool. I'm digging that. So is she kind of blind, like she can't see, or is that like a single eye? Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong side for the camera. This over here. This might help. Let's see. Just reading the chat. Yeah, I would say just maybe work on some primary. It's starting to get kind of noisy, so maybe check your primary forms and make sure those are solid before you add more detail. Because that's something I know we all tend to do. Like, add detail, and that's something I'm trying to avoid right now, and only work on the primary shapes, you know, like from the distance, like how is this reading, playing around with different shaders. Is it actually looking cool? Like, is this break on the chest looking okay, or is it not working, you know? And that's kind of what I'm doing, like just really roughly. And maybe there is accents here of something, but maybe there aren't, you see, because that makes it look kind of messy. And this is also going back into that detail mode. Also, is there a break there? So it's almost like you have to be a little rougher with your designs, like at the beginning stage, if you guys are trying to design stuff, because it's so easy to get stuck with something that it's kind of okay but not good enough, and you just kind of want to stick with it because you've worked on it so much. And sometimes you have to just destroy some of this stuff. It just doesn't work. Oh, thanks, man. Thanks, Hannibal. Yeah, just trying something new, you know. We're trying to make some mech guys that we potentially could make a full figure out of. So that could be cool. We'll see. But some of the, like, they tend to have, Mantis tend to have a really sharp shoulder blades, I guess. Let's see. So that's something we could probably incorporate into this design. So you saw me earlier make the spheres. So since I'm gonna keep making them, all I'm doing is just duplicating them. Duplicating them because I'm gonna just keep using them over and over to make the primary shapes for the rest of the stuff. Forget to hit symmetry. Like I said, it's all about manhandling at this moment. No fine tuning, none of that. also make sure that you don't over. Oh, so happens when you click too fast. See, like I'm playing around with the shoulders, but the shoulders are not. So I changed it to another color because if I had it gray, you see how hard it is to see in there? I could barely see the shoulder. So if I change it to another color, then you can see the shoulder a little better. So that's a trick. Hopefully that might help you guys or not, but at least I wanted to give you guys a tip for that. I could see you again too. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to step back and look at your own designs, but you know, anytime you have you want any feedback, feel free to submit it, and we could cut right on here. It's not a big deal. I'm always up to helping people any way I can. And hopefully, you know, just pace yourself. If you have a lot of stuff going on in life, one step at a time. Sometimes it could be overwhelming having classes and work and other things. So here I know this shoulder needs to be kind of 3 pieces, right? Kind of like humans, but he's also not human, so let's also keep that in mind. But I want to follow a bit of the anatomy, and we'll mix up some stuff. So this could be the pose that he's poking out through. You know, maybe I want his shoulders to be further back, so that's something I'm keeping in mind. Like maybe it doesn't have to be perfectly stuck there, so something to consider. Here I'm also can see how I'm kind of cutting around the anatomy, so that way when I insert the other volume for like the other muscle, this is already kind of set up for that. So let's duplicate that guy again. I don't want him to be super buff either, so that's one thing that we're probably going to tone down so he could feel more mantis-like. Maybe we have to stretch his neck a little bit, or bring some stuff in to make him skinnier than this guy. So even here we can start maybe playing around with see how this is working just by itself. But I really enjoy doing the streams, get to help you guys. You guys get to see some of this design process and what it takes to make your own figures. That type of stuff. Hopefully this helps you, at least give you an insight of like how you guys can do your own and get inspired to inspire other people and get stuff done, which is always a cool thing. So this is where we could just even stop using this guy. Just use maybe make it in the sphere. I want to worry about the top of the we could turn that guy off now. Yeah, the new 2020.1.1 is out, so make sure you guys update to that. I updated recently this last week. Yeah, hopefully it does fix some bugs. I did have a few crashes here and there, but nothing too crazy. This is just to have something for the back, so this is not, you know, that way it looks like a more complete design. Like if we look at it like this, you can start seeing what's working, what's not at the simple stages. Yeah, learning art it never stops. I've been doing this for VFX for about 20 years, and I still feel like like day one. No matter how many projects you work on, no matter how much things happen, there's always more to learn about different subjects, whether insects, humans, mechanical things, how they age, what kind of texture they have, how they function. It never stops. So as long as you love doing that, you will love having a job like this, which is amazing. I love it. Yeah, it's all about fundamentals though. That's why I'm kind of sticking to you guys, telling you like I'm playing with simple shapes. You guys see it's just simple spheres, kind of deforming them, keeping them to a very low polygon stage, nothing fancy, and then from there we'll we can play around with more stuff. But if you don't have that right, then that's nothing. No matter how much detail you add, it's gonna still look like crap. Hey, how's it going, Kyle? Yeah, what kind of content do you guys want to see more of? That'll be great too if you guys can reply to that survey. That would be great because then it helps us kind of figure out like what's interesting, what do you guys want to learn. We could kind of cover some of that stuff. Most of the stuff that I cover, in case you're new to the stream, is more like making your own collectibles, making your own IP so that you can make your ideas come to life and then print them out or just make concepts or whatever it is, you know. And that's kind of what this guy is. We'll probably see him printed soon, and then yeah, we'll move on. Oh yeah, some of the stuff that I've been printing recently, somebody was asking me about this. Let me find it for you guys. I've been doing a lot of kind of characters on the side for myself that I haven't posted yet, but I started printing some eyeballs. Thought it might be interesting to you guys to check out. But yeah, follow me on Instagram if you guys are digging this stuff. And this is like printing some of the stuff that I've been doing for rendering. But I also, since I have the geometry in ZBrush, I figured out why not just print some stuff out, do some tests, and maybe do a big sculpture that has realistic eyes. So, you know, if you guys like that type of stuff, feel free to follow me and check that out. Let's see what else. Sorry, there's a lot of questions. I'm just trying to keep up. So you can see it inside mesh. Like let's say we had like this guy in there. You could just do transparent, in whatever subtool you have selected is the one that's going to. Sometimes it's nicer to have that too, or turn off the wireframe, or just turn on the wireframe, and you can see inside the mesh. That's one way. There's also ghosting. If you kind of want to see more of your design outside, that's another way to kind of look at it. And then, you know, if I select the opposite piece, and you don't see the inside guy as much. But yeah, if you wanted to see the inside, that's kind of the shortcut for it, or the way to do it. Hopefully that helps. Will. Yeah, ideally you want to just kind of do this from memory. That's kind of what I'm doing. Like I'll just look at a little piece of the anatomy of the mantis reference, and then I kind of just go with it. And that's the kind of things you want to, build the mental library for. Yeah, it's kind of like opacity, but I don't think you could adjust it. There might be a way, but I just usually don't. But this is kind of like the way. That's why there's like two modes to kind of help you, see that. Yeah, there's the whole human body and anatomy, right? There's so much to learn. Cool. Well, how's the design going for you guys? You guys think it's looking good? Maybe we'll do some more work on the upper part and start doing what I'm telling you not to do with the detail. I know a lot of attracts a lot of you guys to kind of see the detail, but we'll do some more tweaking on this. But let's get rid of that body so we don't keep tweaking the body, or else we'll just keep adding in more and more pieces to it. We'll stick with the upper body, kind of play around with these guys here. Yeah, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to post them. There we go, that's that edge I was looking for. I'm like, I thought I put that edge, I just didn't see it anymore. Same thing here, just kind of cutting away. I feel like here we need to cut this so that you get that triangle that's so here what I'm doing, I'm kind of switching between the different masking modes in case you guys were wondering what I'm doing, clicking down there. So here we could have some hints of anatomy, maybe, but maybe this could be like a vent. So it's like hinting at that, but not doing that exactly. I think that's something we can do. So the main thing I'm trying to, I guess, do here is if I want everything to feel like it slots into each other. So I think, oh, thank you, Ozilla. Appreciate it. See you soon. I want everything to kind of feel like it slots into each other, so. Something that goes with this part of the design. This guy should still connect to the bottom of the clavicle somehow. So here's like one of those design elements, that kind of happy accident kind of like what's holding up that the neck piece. So here I'm just trying to refine some of this stuff that I did earlier. Just want to clean it up so it has a better read. So it's almost like a really thick wire that's like, not, instead of, you know, it kind of is like a big wire holding your neck together, but I want it to feel like something that's like, maybe like a carbon fiber rod, something like that, with some gaskets on it, like this on the side. Let's see, what can we do with this? Let's look at the side of a mantis. It's like their sides of their heads are a little boring. But another good reference is kind of a cockroach. Look at what's happening with the design. The antennas are at it, but also this little part here. Like that's something potentially I might want to steal from it and kind of use. So sometimes I'm looking at all kinds of stuff. It's kind of gross, but very helpful when it comes to this stuff. Let's make sure we have symmetry. That's not even symmetrical yet. X. So let's see if we can steal some of that from that roach. So I'm turning perspective on and off here, just trying to see what's going on with this. Like I feel like we need to break free here of a little bit more of the brows. It's maybe those with clay. Or the flatten so that it doesn't get too lumpy. See here, there's also a lot of elements here that are need to be smoothed out. One tool that I like using is clay, like at opacity of like 4 or 5, something really low. Let's go in here and kind of just hit some of these things because they have a lot of peaks and valleys, so it kind of helps balance some of that. I know it seems like super low, but it works pretty well. I was hitting the wrong thing. I was like, wonder why that doesn't look like it's way too low. So you kind of start getting rid of some of that resolution problem. Dynamesh it again. $1 million. That should be nothing. So hit it with the smooth stronger. Trying to get rid of any lumpy stuff that doesn't make sense. Yeah, I see how this is all lumpy. Over here too, there's a little bit of resolution loss, but let's smooth it out. This stuff here. So I have these shaders so you can look around and see, like, you can really spot out like some of the lumpy surfaces if you're doing a lot of this mechanical stuff. And those are some of the ones you want to clean up. One thing you can do too is there's a variety of ways to do this, right? You can mask all this, have like one sharp edge, just hit it with that, smooth it. That kind of helps a lot, depending, but sometimes it's causing like a bit of concaveness in there, so that's where you could hit it with. Let's hit it with the clay. See, now it's starting to come out. Just gotta be really gentle with it. Then you go back in there and use a flat to kind of take some of this stuff down. It's kind of transitioning weird. And I like to hit this up so that it comes back up and comes back down. That way it reads much cleaner. What do you guys think? It's all about changing shaders all the time so you can see what's happening transition wise or what's not working. Yeah, that H polish does amazing work, right? Sometimes I also notice that if you use deformation polish, also works pretty well. So it depends on if it's a small area, a big area. Crisp edges tend to do that too. See that kind of did a nice job. I'll do it again so you guys can see what it was, and then kind of where it left off. Let's see. Oh yeah, buffalo horns. That sounds like a cool. I don't think I've ever had to model buffalo horns. That sounds like a cool task. But they had to model the horns for Beauty and the Beast. The Beast's horns. Those were fun. But those I think were more like ram-like, where the little aging rings. So even here you see how there's some lumpy stuff. You can hit that, and then one thing I like to do is do a peak and then soften that peak. So you feel that transition. I like this shader because it helps me see a lot of the things that are going wrong. See how there's like a little dent here and some primary shapes that need to be worked out. This is where you can either smooth it or hit it with another if you want to angle it a different direction. But some of the stuff makes it feel real too, so sometimes you don't want to completely get rid of all this, you know? Let's play around some elements. See, in this case, I wish I would have made the eyes separate, but I can still split them off later. So I think that's gonna be a vet hole. I think that feels like that's what that should be. So I tend to smooth it, hit it with the edge polish, and then I tend to smooth the mask a little bit so that it has a bit of a fall off and doesn't feel like such a harsh transition. Hey Doug. No, I don't show them one with me. I just show them a generic character, but I tend to show variations if I have time. Like if it's the design process. Like let's say I was presenting this guy, right? And I just have a few close-ups of him, kind of like this. I might present the two different versions. That's why I saved the other head, right? Because then we could be like, maybe his head doesn't have to be so big. Maybe his head could stay small. Or add horns, or add a design part, you know. So it really depends, kind of what you're doing and kind of how you want to present it. But I was at least I say 3 options is good, but 2 is, if you don't have time, 2 is good enough. I know I never really thought about my beard much, but it's funny when sometimes it comes up in the topic. We're like, oh man, you have a large beard. It's like, really? I feel like it's really small. Like I need to really like grow it like Gandalf or something. Then they don't feel like something like accomplished. Like a crazy Gandalf beard. So here, right, let's see, we're at 512. Let's mesh that now. I should push that in, but let me make this straight, sharper. Yes, how to use a beard, right? So I like using Dam Standard for this to kind of help get these edges like reading better. Here, this should taper down to this spot, right? So that it has a better flow. Or sometimes if I start getting stuff like this, I'll mask one side all the way to the edge. And I know this side's pretty good, so sometimes what I'll do is just grab the whole thing and just kind of something like that, and then invert. Push the other one in. So if you wanted to get a harder edge transition, you can. Then we dynamesh that. It might become soft. To rebalance your whole design if you had any lumpy stuff. Oh, is this music annoying? Let's see if I can find some better music. I'll lower the sound. There we go. That's much more settled. I think the other one became a little too poppy or too not the type of music I want to use in the stream. So this line became a little too thick, so we might have to do that again. Let's see, so it's 1020, so I think I'll switch to the other design, the other guy we were working on for the crab. Or actually, let's do some test renders of this guy in Keyshot. What do you guys think? Just save this. Preferably nothing with voices, so let's see. Very good, that should be much better. will close the music, but then it gets really quiet, and I'd rather have something going in the background when I'm not talking. So that's kind of the reason I keep it up. But if it's too loud, I can tone it down. You let me know. All right, this is saving, and let's launch Keyshot 9. Yeah, I guess it was a big update for Keyshot just the last couple days, so make sure you guys update that too. So let's see what this guy's looking like. Let me just send them over from ZBrush. And then we can do some test renders. Not Boolean, external render. Oh, there's my button. Alright, let's switch over to Keyshot. So one of the first things that I usually do is change my my lensing to something more used for like a portrait, either 50, 85, or 100. Let's go with 85 for this guy. It's really, the document's so tiny. Not a big deal. Let's play around with some. Stuff here. Let's put a nice shader. I usually love these Multic materials. I don't know why, they're just like super clean. We got to work on that mouth, but at least we can see some of the other stuff that's happening with this guy. Grab my other keyboard so we can pan around. Oh, that's what it is. I think I haven't set my preferences for this. So depending which program you're coming from, one thing that I would suggest is changing, like if you use Maya, like for the interface, let's see, where is it at? It's not here. It's set to Maya. Let's change it to something else. ZBrush, let's see. Yeah, it's weird because usually you hold Alt and you can move around, but for some reason I can't. Not a big deal. But yeah, I think it's heading in the right direction. I think it'll be good for us to continue next time. Just got to work on that mouth part. I feel like all this other stuff is kind of working. What do you guys think? Cool. That's Keyshot for you. Quick renders. So now that we're there, let's switch back to this. So this is a character that I started, I think it was like 2 years ago or something, on Oculus Medium. So this was created in VR. It's fancy the right way, but one thing that I had issues with a while back was that symmetry was not set right. So that's always a kind of an interesting problem, right? So we'll do a quick little hack to show you guys. So here we're just gonna shrink a box so that I know where that center line, the real center line, is at. Because this is still just the beginning of this stuff. It's not, see how off that is? So he's pretty off on that. But because this is still early in the process, I can do this. If this was further along, I probably wouldn't do it this way, but this is, we're just trying to get here and work on this stuff, right? Like, that's all we really want at the moment. So I'm just trying to use that center line to kind of help me tell me where the center of his mass is at. So now that we don't need that, we can use a deformer here. Let's see if this works. Smart resim. So it's either going to work or it's going to break. But we'll find out right now. So I think this guy, I kind of don't like his face anymore. I think it could be much better design, but we'll work on that today. Let me find some sea creature reference. Let's see, symmetry. Was it able to? No, still doing it. Sorry, we might have a crash, but we'll see right now. So there's probably some of the references we're going to be using for that. I like to use reference because it helps me get inspired. You know, like this stuff. This is so cool. Little cuttlefish. Or even shark, right? Like. So that's some of the references we're going to be using. I don't know what's happening with the. We'll wait another minute before we completely kill it. It's probably the mesh density is too high. But this happens, so it's not like it's it happens in production. Wait a minute, and if it doesn't come back, then you can say goodbye to ZBrush. I want to say it's the density. Well, let's kill that. At least we saved our previous guy, right? So it should be okay. Let's give ZBrush a second. Comes back. Yep, it's dead. So I guess this is not the guy we want. Let's close a few of these other references. Crab, there we go. Well, let's check him. Let's check him out. Yeah, he's a bit dense. Not a big deal. You can. Guess we could always cut him in half as well. But let's go back to our little trick of the box just to get at least in the ballpark of symmetry. Perspective off. Main thing is to make sure you always have perspective off. Wrong tool. So that looks pretty good. I guess because this is kind of a you could always just delete hidden. Duplicate this guy. I'm also doing this because he's so large, like so many polygons, and we're going to remesh all this, but I want to split it before we do any of that. Actually, before I do that, let's see. Let's delete that guy. So I think I might be able to separate this guy into polygroups, but let's see if we can do that now. Let's see, I think they'll. So if I can separate these guys, then I can work individually and not have to merge them yet. Because I think I want to work on the shell separate than the chest. So that's why I'm doing this. So this guy's about 2 million. So ZBrush shouldn't have too much issue dealing with this guy. But we'll see. We'll find out in a minute or two. So what do you think? What do you guys think of this new format? Kind of splitting time between two different projects so that it doesn't get too boring. I feel like it kind of helps the process because then I'm eager to get back to the other piece soon. So it might help me kind of move things forward a little quicker than staying on one thing for 2 hours. Also might keep it kind of fresh. What do you guys think? I just killed ZBrush again. I might have. We'll wait for a minute before hitting escape. Yeah, because this guy's zone shouldn't be fused together since it was a FBX. They should all kind of be separate, but hopefully this thing can detect the edges and then let's see. Yeah, I want to kill it. Yep. Okay, let's not waste any more time. We only have 30 more minutes left, so let's relaunch that one more time. So this is my new logo for my La Bestia Studios branding, in case you guys were wondering what that is. Let's see. Well, we'll get at least this guy set up and ready to be sculpted on. Yeah, they're not separate now, so let's see what we can do. Let's see, regroup by edge. Let's try that. Nope, not exactly what I wanted, but at least it didn't die, right? So UVs didn't work either, even though he does have UVs, but I think they're all separate. Let's see what happens with this one. If not, I could probably separate them by hand. I'm just trying to avoid doing that if possible. So if it's doing it based on topology, I think it should be smart enough to separate each piece of these out, at least the claws and the head and that type of stuff, because that's how I had them separated in Oculus Medium. If not, I'll just pre-split it before I mirror it over. Be way better. Third time. If we decimate it, I think if we decimate it first and then try to split it, that might actually help, because they'll keep them all separate and then it'll be way lower. Let's see, crab guy. That would probably help the whole process, just because this guy's 2 million, I guess, or 4 million actually. So could be one of those problems. But yeah, this happens all the time. You know, takes 5-10 minutes to figure it out, and then once you move on, you're ready to sculpt. Because the only asymmetrical part that I have on this guy is the claws. That is the only thing. But it's okay. Go with just still claw. There we go. Now it's moving. Good. Seems like it was stuck there for a while. But yeah, I think one thing I wanted to do is simplify some of the shapes, you know, like make them feel more like I started getting too messy with the spikes, too many spikes, so I think I'm going to remove some of those and only have hints of them. But you know, kind of be a little more simplifying some of the shapes. If this thing ever decides to hurry up. Yeah, one thing I noticed, no matter how fast your computer is, it's never fast enough. Because you're always having more programs open or taking up more resources, so you're always kind of using those gains and reusing them to make them slow again. Okay, almost done. Well, I guess that's not gonna work. Look at that thing. Look at that mess. Not a biggie. Let's figure something else to do. Let's start splitting some of this stuff up. So first, turn off perspective. Let's move into the center. Just like what we did earlier, for the 5th time. Just gonna move this guy real quick and then we can cut him up. Alright, that looks good enough. First I'm gonna duplicate him, work on a copy of him in case I screw anything up. Start that separation. Yeah, I see a lot of these pieces are separated out. They're just for some reason not cooperating. Oh, got another idea. I just want to make sure there was nothing there. We could decimate him to 200k. That should work a lot quicker. Especially if we only had half. Yeah, that's a lot quicker. And this should bypass me both of the other 2 settings that I was playing around with, where you have to pre-process it and then tell it, okay, fully process it. This should do both for me at one shot. And I could probably do separate or polygroups, and then that should be quicker because it should be less than just 2 million. It should be like 200k, which should be a piece of cake. But sometimes one thing that you try doesn't work. Doesn't mean you have to give up. You just have to try something else. And you guys are seeing it here live, right? Sometimes the things that I thought was gonna work, it's not working. I still didn't like it, huh? Alright. Okay, so one thing, we're gonna try one more thing. There's no groups on here, but let's try Dynamesh super low with groups on. Maybe that would keep all the pieces separate. If not, not a big deal. Obviously that's way too low, and it's not going to keep the groups. All right. Let's move on. Good thing is that we could still just do half. So I guess the big problem is the shell. Yeah, sorry about this, guys. It's a little boring, but has to be done. But it's part of the process, right? And not the most exciting, but part of the whole process. Let's see. So that seems like it's getting split, which is nice. Let's save this little crab guy. Now we can mirror him over. Yes, I know it's a lot of vertices. Back to 4 million. Oh, look at that. That's awesome. It's totally broke. Oh, 9-0. What I have to deal with all the time. Not a big deal. We're splitting everything into pieces. So stuff might not make sense, but let's go up and figure out what's going on here. Obviously that's not working at all. Back to some poly groups. Thinking worst case scenario, I have to go back to medium and export this by pieces, which is a possibility. Oh, look at that. That looks awesome, except it's not what I want at all. Let's switch to another piece, because this one seems to be going nowhere. We already wasted like 10 minutes on this. So let's go with or our friend Death. So we're gonna have to start cleaning this guy up. Let's turn this off. Back. Good. You didn't miss much. You just missed a whole bunch of things breaking. But we're cleaning up this other design, so that should be fun. At least for another 10 minutes or so. Oh, you did? Oh, cool. Do you have any pictures of what he looks like? I would like to check that out. So here I'm just trying to figure out what I need to clean up and what edges need to kind of make sense. You know, like if that needs to be straight, then it needs to be straight. Back in the grind, yeah. I know what you mean, it never ends. So one thing I'm trying to make sure here is that I don't lose the essence of what I was trying to do with this guy. Like, I feel like the sketch had a lot of soul into it. And if I start cleaning this stuff up and it becomes too dull, I need to make sure that I bring some of that back. So let's see how much we have done. So you see now we're starting to get there. Yeah, that regular clay brush is like the best. That's the winner. You see how you see the difference? Yeah, it's all about the red wax, right? No, I'm just kidding. I hate that red wax. IMM brushes are great. I used to use those a lot, but now I only use those for little accents, not for a lot of other stuff, you know. But that's kind of what we're trying to hit. We're trying to make sure that all this stuff doesn't feel lumpy like here, you know, like they could be transitions, but those are the ones we want to kind of clean up. But yeah, clay is the one to go with. Clay and H polish to replaner all this stuff. That are also like the move tool is a huge one, right? Like this dip. If I want that to be a more mechanical part, then I should probably straighten it out, you know, and that's what the move at a low opacity or intensity lets you do. So now you see how that's becoming more mechanical, less wacky looking. So that's what we want to be cleaning up. Yeah. So planer. So I use a lot of the clay, right? Let's find a part. Like this part, right? Like this is looking pretty lumpy. So I use clay to do the opposite, the positive, and then I also use it to do negative, so that it kind of it's more like a rake tool. So you see, it kind of works like H polish, but it only puts clay where you need it, like to kind of like adjust like the peaks and valleys. So it's pretty nice for that. And then from there, after that, you can hit it with clay or with H polish. See, and then change the angle here. And then there's some things that you can't avoid, like this dip, right? You kind of have to move it. Like that won't take care of it. But yeah, clay is my best friend, but it has to be used super low, or else it becomes kind of troublesome. But you can see how it starts to really sharpen a lot of those edges. Like here, I want this to be. So this is what I'm thinking about. Sometimes I don't mask it, but this is kind of what I'm thinking about. Like if I want that to be a plane, right? So that you just change the direction. See, now it feels like so much sharper than what we had before, right? It's polished. I don't usually use it. I should give it a try. Oh, thanks, Blind Fox. Yeah, so this one I'm trying to clean up so it doesn't feel just lumpy as hell, you know? Let's see if we can take some screen grabs and to show you guys before and after, kind of what we're trying to do so that it makes sense. Because sometimes you might not see it and you're like, what is he doing? And why is he doing that? Oh, that's awesome. Nice screen grab. The screen grab thing died. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Something happened to this. For a second, everything froze up and I couldn't adjust anything. Let's go to Photoshop. What song is playing? This is what's playing right now. Our Flesh and Blood. Yeah, it sounds pretty cool, right? Come on, Photoshop. I want to show these guys. Might go over a couple minutes. I just want to show you guys kind of what's going on with this. Show you guys. This is taking forever. Alright, send this thing way all the way back to. It's a print screen. So now I put them next to each other so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So you kind of see what's happening, right, with the cleanup. I know it doesn't look pretty apparent when you just see it, but look at how blobby all these edges were. Like all this stuff looked just super organic, like melted metal type of thing. So if you look at this stuff, it's starting to become more of a structure, have kind of different levels of the way it's planar. And like even looking at this, seeing this feels more mechanical. So I'm probably gonna go throughout that and do that. Probably spend like an hour or two just replaning and everything, so everything feels like it's a solid piece of mechanics. And then from there do cuts. So I'll either continue this next stream or you know, kind of do a little bit of kind of what we were both doing back and forth. Let's see. I have a 4K. I have done the groups, but I haven't done a lot of it, so maybe that's another way to approach it. Sometimes when I get it in the ballpark, I also use the H-polish deformation to kind of get me there, so we could try that as well. So let's go to the end. We'll go for another minute or two before we're cut off. Sometimes I also do, to get me there, like get in the ballpark, I also do polish by edge. And you see some of these things kind of become more polished. So let's see what that does. So it goes from that to that. So that kind of helps a bit too, but it's just a matter of like how much time you have and different ways of doing it. But I might give that a try. Hey, how's it going? You love Groot? Oh, awesome, man. Yeah, it was a great project to work on. Let's see. Oh, somebody sent me a link to a polygroup thing, I think. Oh, this is the updates. Yeah, make sure you guys update. There's a lot of fixes, so make sure you guys check that out. Let's see if there's anything else before we're done here. Oh yeah, there's this thing. I think we'll cover this next stream. But there's this cool lizard guy this Side Effects is working on. Yeah, if not, if you wanted something before next stream, just send me a message on Instagram and I could give you a review there, since we have to cut off at 11. But thanks a lot. Thanks for everybody joining. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys learned some stuff and had fun, and working on some stuff of your own at the same time. Yeah, thank you. We'll see you guys next stream. See you. Bye.